Welcome to Comfort Kills. It is time to get comfortable with being uncomfortable and confident with being uncertain. In each episode, I am going to introduce inspiring guests, thoughts, and ideas for us to reach our fullest potential. I am your host, Jasmine Sandoval, and together we will take this journey to challenge our status quo and be the best version of ourselves. Welcome back. Have you ever felt like sometimes you just didn't seem to fit in with where you belong? Maybe you didn't feel like you were good enough. Maybe you didn't feel like that you had the same credentials as everybody else. Well, I want you to remember that in order to play with the big dogs, you have to act like you belong. You have to act like you have the confidence, and you have to act like that seat has been yours all along. Imposter syndrome is a major problem. Many times we are such harsh critics on ourselves that we feel like we don't belong and we aren't good enough to be where we are. And there are so many people around us who do not want to see us succeed that they also will continue to feed that thought into your mind that you really don't belong there. You got that position because of XYZ. Whatever the case is, they'll come up with certain types of excuses as to why you're there and they're not there. And it'll make you think twice about you and your credentials and your abilities. Let that stop. Do not allow that shit to get to you. Seriously. We need to remember that they can smell fear. The more you give into that, the more you act without confidence, the more they will continue to eat you alive. We don't want that. We don't want your peers to eat you alive, and we don't want your superiors to think the same as well. They can smell fear, and they will eat their young, and they will try to make you feel as if you do not belong, you're not adequate enough, and that is not okay. We want to make sure that we always present ourselves with the utmost confidence. Anytime you are given the opportunity to do something bigger and better, go for it. Go for it with all your might, go for it, and go for it without a doubt in your mind. Why? Because somebody saw something in you and feel like you belong and you have deserved it and you earned it, and this is now your big opportunity and your big break. So go for it. You want to make sure that you go and you are completely prepared. You need to know exactly what the goals are for this. You need to know what the mission is, what the objectives are, and you need to deliver like your life depended on it. This is your big moment. This is your opportunity to show everybody that you are just as capable as the next person in doing this and delivering it and doing it well. And it could be anything, any aspect of life, whether it's in your professional life or whether it's in your personal life, anything that may come across. This is your moment. This is your opportunity. This is for you. And this was meant for you. And you are in this place at this very given time because somebody believes in you. So go for it and do not let them down. Do not let yourself down. Do not let the person who supported you down. Go prepared. Know your goals. Have your materials ready and practice, practice, practice. If it is something that you have to do as in a presentation for work, make sure you practice, practice, practice. If it is for a casting call for a role that you really, really want, practice, practice, practice. Whatever the case may be, practice. Doesn't matter. Do it again. Keep doing it over and over and over until it becomes muscle memory and it is second nature to you. The next thing you want to do is know your audience. Who are you presenting for? Who are you performing for? Who are you going to be displaying this for? You need to know your audience and you need to be able to not change who you are, but you need to be able to learn how to relate to them and get their attention and know that you can capture them and get them just as interested as any other types of populations out there. If you are going to be presenting to your senior leaders at work, then you need to know exactly what type of audience that is so that you can conform to their language and appeal to them. You also need to know that if you are presenting an initiative to a group of teenagers at a high school on why not to use drugs, you need to know how to relate to them. You need to know those types of things. Your population and who you're presenting to and your audience is incredibly important because it'll change the way you should deliver something which may be appealing to one type of group of people and population, and it will not appeal to the next. So you must be able to know how to conform to that and how to deliver to that type of audience. The next thing is knowing the hook. What is it that you are delivering to them? What are you trying to appeal to them? What is your hook? You have to have that hook. You have to get their attention, and you have to let them understand that you are there to gain every ounce of support from them as possible. So you have to know what the hook is with that audience population. You also want to know, you also want to make sure that your body language is completely different. How are you presenting yourself? Are you presenting behind a podium and you are reading from a piece of paper and you're down here the entire time and you're looking the entire time at your paper? Or have you somewhat memorized that material, and you can deliver more naturally, and you can really flow with it, and your body moves with it, and you're commanding the stage that you're presenting on? That whatever platform it may be, you are commanding the platform and you are commanding their attention. My daughter does a little bit of acting on the side, and she, my understanding is, again, parents aren't allowed in there, but when she goes in there, she tells me the casting director loved her. She was projecting her voice. She was commanding the stage. She had her attention. She was funny. She related. Everything that you need to do in order to really capture their attention and get them to know that you are there and you're serious about what it is that you're presenting or performing for, that's very important. And again, voice projection. Are you really coming out there with confidence, and you're speaking and you're telling everybody what you want to tell them, and you're spreading the message, and you're funny and you're sharing joy and you're dynamic? Are you a dynamic speaker? Or are you a very quiet speaker and you're very to yourself and you're very monotone, or whatever the case may be? Like, how is your voice when you're going out there? That also exudes tons of confidence. If you go out there and you are not confident, you do not know your material, you don't know who you're speaking to, you don't know how to move around and command the stage, and then you speak like in this little whisper voice, guess what? You've lost them in the first 30 seconds. You've lost me in the first 30 seconds. So work on that. And the best way to work on it is standing in front of a mirror. If you have to present something, or if you have to, whatever it is that you have to do, be the person that goes out there and just command it. And by doing that, you do it in front of the mirror many times enough, you'll find that it's very awkward and it's uncomfortable and nobody likes it, because you're staring at yourself and you're critiquing yourself. But it is the best, absolute best thing that you can do. One of the organizations that I'm with is Toastmasters International, and I'm with my local chapter here in Coral Gables, and it was amazing, the first meeting that I went to, and being able to see, the storytelling technique, and just seeing the speakers be able to really captivate the audience with the way they storytell. I was mesmerized. I remember one of the speakers told a story about him growing up in Cuba and the things that his mom had to do, and just, the story had me so captivated from the very beginning, and I was like hanging on to every single word that was being said for the first 5 minutes of the speech. I just didn't know where it was going, and then at the end it was just this hook and the punchline, and then that is what you want to do. So even if you know that you want to gain more confidence in what you're doing, look into different types of organization. Toastmasters is a great one. It's incredibly inexpensive, but you learn so much from it. The formality of it teaches you to be a respectable speaker. You learn how to not hold on to crutch words like ums and ahs and and like. There's so many speakers out there, lots of leaders that I have that I listen to on a speech, and I was like, oh man, they would be such an incredible speaker if they would just join my Toastmasters. And that's really important because we do that all the time. So being able to hear what those crutch words are and being given that feedback is so incredibly important. So those types of organizations are out there to help you. And again, you have to go out there and seek for it because they exist. You just have to know that they exist and really go out there and find it. And so the last thing that I want to really leave you with is I want you to know that, like, again, Crossword, in the next situation where you find yourself having a little bit of lack of confidence, I want you to stand tall, and I want you to put your hands on your hips, and I want you to imagine yourself, and this is, again, not in front of the audience, but before you get to the audience, right? Just, this is prep work, so don't do this in front of the audience. You might get a little giggle out of them here and there, but they might think something's going on. But again, before you prep yourself to prep yourself before going in there, stand tall, put your hands on your hips, and imagine yourself being your favorite superhero. Your superhero that's standing there with confidence, with the wind blowing and their hair's blowing and their cape's blowing, whatever it is that they have as a superhero. Just imagine yourself as that superhero and hold your chest up and high and your chin up, stand tall, and walk into that next meeting with total confidence and know that you got this, babe. Also, don't forget to give us a thumbs up if you enjoyed the last episode. In the detail notes below, you will find our email address. In this email, you can send us a voice memo of your most uncomfortable journey that led you on the path to your most current side hustle. Remember, if you're sending us a voice memo, you are giving us permission to use your voice memo in our next episode or call you and invite you as a guest on the next series. Keep hustling, and I'll see you on the next episode.